Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of HUtv. Tonight, I'm wearing a beanie. As the title up there says, we're going to be going over how to pack an Egyptian bowl. We're going to be going over a lot of different tobacco brands that we're going to be showing you how to work with the Egyptian bowl. The only thing is that, I would like to include a lot more brands to show you guys, but just for the point of the episode and just to kind of keep it concise, we chose 5 very popular tobacco brands that can be packed in an Egyptian bowl. First things first, we're going to start off with the basics of Fakher and Starbuzz. There's Fakher for you guys. I'm choosing orange for this episode, one of my personal favorites. And also Starbuzz. We chose code 69 just because it's super popular. I have no idea why, but it is. And we're also going to be going over how to pack Fumari in the Egyptian bowl. And of course, we're going to be going over Haze tobacco. I chose one of my favorite Haze flavors, twice the apple or double apple. And finally, we're going to be going over how to pack Tangiers in an Egyptian bowl. And regardless of how taboo that is, I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. We're going to start out with Fumari. Very popular, especially here in Los Angeles and Southern California. Fumari has gotten really big and really famous internationally, namely in Europe, I believe in Russia, and definitely in the United States. We're going to be doing the Egyptian bowl. To recap over an Egyptian bowl and what it means to be an Egyptian bowl and how the qualities it requires to be considered that. First and foremost, it's got to be made in Egypt, okay? If it's not made in Egypt, then it's a mod bowl that looks like an Egyptian bowl. Mod meaning modern, usually made in China. That's not what an Egyptian bowl is. An Egyptian bowl, it uses red clay, usually clay from the Eastern Mediterranean region where they have access to in Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, in all those areas. And the general shape of it is, it has to be a bowl shape, and it usually has about 5 different holes in the very center of the bowl. Other than that, it's a very basic, very specific bowl. Everybody knows what this is. You've used it, you've had to use it, unless you were one of the lucky ones to get started with something more advanced off the bat. And it does have some weight to it usually. This particular one does, for being about a 15-gram bowl, 17 maybe. Other than that, that's about it, guys. To show you how to pack a Fumari, we're gonna basically try to go on the scale of the density levels that you can pack at, okay? Now, I know there's a lot of people that only know about a fluff pack and a dense pack. That's way too vague, because even within the densities, there's a lot of different steps to it. So for Fumari, the ideal pack method is the fluff pack, and where that lands on the scale is you have extra fluff, you have fluff, you have semi-fluff, you have the normal pack, which lies dead center in the middle of the scale. Then you have a semi-dense, a dense pack, and an extra dense pack. This is the region of Tangiers, just so you guys can put it to perspective. Fumari lies at a fluff pack, okay? You could even extra fluff it, depending on the shape of your bowl and depending exactly where it is. Now, I know a lot of people like to take Fumari out and mix it up and get the juices evened out. I don't really do that. What I do is I usually tend to skim from the top, it looks like that, and let the juices stay at the bottom, because it is very soupy and very juicy. A lot of people complain about that. I don't blame them. What I do is I skim from the top until it's at the very bottom with all the juicy stuff, and then what I do when I need it, I just pack my bowl and squeeze it out to a bucket or trash can or something, or a sink, and then I continue using it just the same. You want the juice. Juice is your friend. Too much juice is not. It kind of works with everything else in the world and in life, isn't it? Too much of a good thing is a bad thing. And so going on, I just skim from the top, and we're gonna kind of grab some, and we're gonna sprinkle it into the bowl to achieve a fluff pack. Just let the tobacco drop until it's nice and fluffy and a lot of air and space in between. You could dump the excess back, and that's about it. After that, you just kind of even it out. You're not pressing it down, you're just kind of tossing it around so the entire bowl is full to the rim at a very, very fluffy state, as you saw. Now what happens when you do this method is that the leaves fall down and kind of lay on top of each other. When you have just the right amount of juice, nothing gets pressed down naturally even. So long as you're not pressing it down, it stays in a fluffy state. Even if you can't see it from the top, it's layered and it's got layers or air pockets in between the layers of leaves that just fell. If you're not sure if you got the pack method or the density level correct, you could always grab it again and kind of start again and do it until you're satisfied and confident in your pack. And other than that, that's about it. I'm gonna lay this down so we could get some shots of this so you guys could tell even better how it looks and what it is. And that's the method for Fumari. All right, next, I'm gonna show you how to pack Starbuzz in an Egyptian bowl. Now, Starbuzz is internationally famous. Some of us don't really take it seriously just because it's deteriorated over the years. They have redeemed themselves by releasing Vintage by Starbuzz, which is an excellent brand. And also coming soon, they're gonna have a line called Serpent or Serpent Society. And that stuff's actually amazing. I had a chance to try it out at TPE 2017 and I became an instant fan of it. I'm looking forward for the review, so watch out for that one. We're gonna use code 69. Now, Starbuzz is famous because they were the first to kind of make interesting flavors that are different from the norm. Every other brand was doing the basics: orange, watermelon, apple, double apple, lemon, cinnamon, honey, etc., etc. And Starbuzz came out and kind of did all these interesting mixes and premixes that made it internationally famous and a household name. Everybody knows what Starbuzz is. So today we're going to be doing code 69, which is very popular. Again, I don't know why, but it is. But the level of density that Starbuzz lies at is one step below Fumari. So if Fumari is a fluff, Starbuzz is a semi-fluff. And to achieve a semi-fluff pack, you start up with a fluff. Okay, just the same way as we did with Fumari, we're gonna kind of dig in a little bit, until we, get to the kind of wetter area, not too wet, just a little bit. You could also mix it up so everything is distributed evenly, and then just grab a bunch and go ahead and sprinkle it just the same into your bowl. Nothing complicated. Starts off with a fluff pack. And voila. I'm gonna get rid of this really big leaf. And you guys, always going on about how a lot of brands have inconsistencies in their cuts and this and that. To me, it doesn't really bother me at all. You just dump it back in. Eventually, you only have a bunch of large leaves, which you could go ahead and cut them up later. After you've achieved the fluff pack, instead of trying to just disperse it so it's even, what I do is I go ahead and take that step, doing that. And the only difference is this time I'm actually lightly and very gently patting it down so that it's a little bit more dense than with Fumari. And I'm going to put the other one next to the bowl, the Fumari bowl, just so you guys could tell the difference within the pack methods. Now, as you can see, Fumari has a lot of air between the leaves. Everything fell on their own. This one's a little bit more consistent, a little bit more densed up, but very, very slightly. You can tell the difference based on touch rather than the visual, but it definitely needs a lot of air to breathe, just not as much as Fumari. And the reason why you're not just fluffing it up and calling it a day is because you want to get as much longevity as possible from the bowl you just packed. Okay, so semi-fluff looks like this, a fluff pack looks like that. Alright guys, next we have the Fakher pack method in an Egyptian bowl. We have a dedicated Egyptian bowl for all of these, and they're all the same exact type of Egyptian bowl from the same maker, from the same brand, which no longer exists. I'm sorry you can't buy these exact ones anymore. I haven't seen it in the market for years. Open up the box of Fakher. We have orange, the traditional red dye that makes Fakher visually. Again, just the same as before, we're gonna go ahead and grab some, put it in the bowl. We start at a fluff pack and then we dense it down to where it needs to be. Again, the Fakher pack is a normal pack. It lies right underneath semi-fluff, which we just showed about Starbuzz. So we're gonna start with a fluff, and this time we're just gonna dense it up just a little bit more. The bowl is gonna be a little bit more full, and it's gonna be slightly different. And these are the differences between the variations of the density levels, which I'm taking advantage of showing you guys because this is a great opportunity to show you the differences as well as show you how to pack the Egyptian bowl. Now, going on with our Fakher, and just the same as before, we're gonna grab a bunch. Could put some over here so you guys can see a little bit better. And we're just gonna grab some. Mix it up a little bit, not really to mix up the flavor or anything, but to loosen up the leaves in case there's any clumps of it. We're gonna gently pick some up and we're gonna pack it into the bowl. And this time we're gonna be a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for, liberal when it comes to loading it up. So already we have a little more tobacco than the other two bowls. The only difference is it still started up as a fluff pack. The only difference is that we're gonna go ahead and pat it down just a bit more than the other ones. And notice, guys, I'm doing it very gently. I'm not getting my finger and just like smashing it in. Oh, it's a dense pack, it's a dense pack. No, none of that. It's just a very slight difference. And believe it or not, the slight differences are gonna make a big difference in how the specific individual tobacco performs throughout your session. We will be going over an episode where I show you guys exactly how each brand performs at the various density levels and why I settle on the methods that I teach you guys, that I've talked about for over the last few years while I've been involved at Hookah Lifestyle Unbiased on the forums and the groups and everything else, just to show you guys that, hey, this is my train of thought and it's by results that I come to the specific pack methods. The difference between it, going back to the Fakher, between these guys is, I don't know if you noticed, but compared to, for example, the Fumari, you have it's a little bit more fuller. It's less air, less spaces between the leaves. There's no large pockets of air like over here, little over here. It's a lot more full. And I remember back in the day, we would call this a full pack because we didn't really have anything specific, and literally there was only like 2 or 3 brands out there that we would smoke anyway. We would call it a full pack or a light pack. Those are the terms that we used back in the day. Today we call this a normal pack. All right, guys, next on the list is Haze in an Egyptian bowl, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a semi-dense pack. Now, Haze is getting really popular, and in fact, recently they just posted that there was a fake brand called Haze using their exact logo. The difference is they're in square packets that are similar to Fumari, except it has a giant Haze logo on it with their lettering and even their trademark. These horrible people. So, excuse my language, but f you if you're seeing this, and I'm gonna make sure to do everything I can to hunt you asses down and f you up legally and in the court, because Haze is an amazing brand with amazing people behind it, and you're a piece of shit, frankly, for doing what you're doing. You all right? We're gonna help out, and the entire community is backing them. Okay, I just want to put that out there. But Haze is one of my personal favorites. They deserve to be a personal favorite just because their qualities, their innate qualities, are that they last a long time. They burn very slowly. The tobacco burns very slowly, and you get big fluffy clouds full of flavor for extremely exceptionally long time. Haze, twice the apple, nice, blonde, pretty. I don't know if you guys can capture it. I'm gonna take some out and put it on the lid just so you could see the colors. This is a natural blonde tobacco, very gorgeous, and very, very aromatic and very flavorful. Something if you guys to consider, if you guys haven't used Haze before, you haven't tried it before, you might want to consider trying it now, is that whatever it smells like in the package, it's not exactly how it tastes. In fact, generally speaking, the smell, when you're just opening a packet and just trying to smell it and trying to feel out what the flavor is like, is less potent and less accurate than what it tastes like. And for me, that's way more important than having it smell accurate and then tasting like shit, honestly. So Haze is a personal favorite. And to pack it on the scale, it goes on a semi-dense. So we went over a fluff pack, we went over a semi-fluff pack, we went over a normal pack, and now we're going to be going over a semi-dense pack. Okay, a semi-dense pack is right between a dense and a normal pack. It lies right in between there, and there's an even further density level to going into extra dense. But if this is a normal pack, which you saw for Fakher, and this is a dense pack, which you have a general idea of what it is, a semi-dense lies right in between. So to go over that again, we start with a fluff pack. So we're going to load this bowl just the same as we did with all the other ones. And notice I'm being even more liberal in how much tobacco I'm throwing in there, because I know to achieve a semi-dense pack, in general, a general rule of thumb is to go about 1/4 inch above the rim and then pat it down to a semi-dense pack, which you see right here. Now guys, whatever you the secondary preferences or secondary things is how high and how low you go as far as the height is pertaining to the rim. Now I always go to the rim with Haze. You could go a little lower, or you could go even higher for an overpack, but this is still a semi-dense. To compare the difference between the Haze's semi-dense and the Fakher's normal pack, again, it's just 1 notch more dense, 1 notch more full, 1 notch more I don't know, more tobacco in there. And this is Haze, Fakher, Starbuzz's semi-fluff, and Fumari's fluff pack. Just to show you guys the differences. After we're done with this, actually what we're gonna do is dump it all out and show you guys exactly physically how much more tobacco, sorry I got a little bit of haze on that, how much more tobacco each pack takes, because to achieve more dense pack you have to use more tobacco, and it's kind of logical. Alright guys, I'm going to put these back and go on with my personal favorite brand, one of my favorite brands, Tangiers, and the taboo of packing it in an Egyptian bowl. You can't do that. You can't pack Tangiers in an Egyptian bowl. That's taboo. No, it's not. It's tobacco. Pack it in whatever you want. Just make sure you do it right so you're not wasting it. That's all. Alright guys, now it's time for Tangiers in an Egyptian bowl, the big taboo, and the reason why everybody is going to probably comment. And I do want your opinion, guys, so after we're done with this, watching this episode, please go ahead and comment on how you feel about this. The truth is that it is not the ideal bowl to pack Tangiers in. I'm being real with you, I'm being honest with you. It is not the ideal. It doesn't perform as well as if you were to pack it in a, I don't know, in a fudge bowl or an Apache, Tangiers funnel, any of them really. You know, the funnel shape just works better for Tangiers, and I have a theory because of, for that, okay? And I think the reason is because of the funnel bowl shape with the spire coming out and the bowl coming out, Tangiers can be dense pack to the brim, and the smoke travels to the center and goes through the center as you pull on it, right? And the theory why it works so well is because the molasses stays inside of it, and what it really does, whether you realize it or not, is the molasses boils up, goes up, and then as the coal starts dying out, molasses sets again, and then you put more coals on or adjust the coals, the molasses goes back up. It always stays in there, and it allows it to kind of circulate, this kind of recycling thing when it comes to flavor, and it helps make it last longer. And with a dense pack tobacco where you don't have air going through the leaves the entire session like these other brands that we did, it actually just makes it last longer, and it's ideal for it. Now of course the funnel bowl was created by Tangiers for Tangiers. It is not limited to Tangiers. The funnel bowl works exceptionally well with a lot of different brands, as you saw in a previous episode where we taught you guys how to pack Fakher in many different bowls, and you saw how even the Tangiers small, being only about 12 grams, lasted a good hour 40 minutes if I remember correctly, which is excellent considering all the other bowls used 2, 3, 4 times more tobacco, and lasted only about 30 minutes more than that. You know, so those are the advantages of the things, you know, of the different bowls. But for the funnel bowl and Tangiers, it's really made for it and works ideally for it. But that is not to say that you just cannot pack an Egyptian bowl. You can't use an Egyptian bowl to pack Tangiers. All right. So to do that, just the same as all the other bowls that we packed, we're gonna start with a fluff pack. To get a fluff pack out of Tangiers, you grab some, you mix it up a little bit, breaking it apart so that it's nice and fluffy. As you could tell, you're literally fluffing it up like a pillow or something or whatever. And you just grab some and you're gonna load it into the bowl. But this time we're only gonna go about 1/4 inch above the rim instead of it. With other bowls I would go much higher to dense it up. The reason is the Egyptian bowl is just not shaped ideally for Tangiers. So you gotta accommodate and you gotta change the pack method and the way you do things so that you could get a better session, or at least a decent session out of it, okay? Now, this way, we're gonna go ahead and dense it up proper. Now, you guys know that I use a toothpick to pat down all the other bowls, you know, the brands for this bowl. But this time I'm using my fingers, okay, because I need it to get really, really dense. Okay, and we're gonna pat it down nice and even. And under the rim. And for Egyptian bowl, it's very crucial that it stays under the rim, okay? You could load it up more, but I promise you it'll just burn. It is just not ideal for Tangiers. So we're gonna pat it down until it's evenly consistent. Again, I use my fingers, guys. I know some of you guys like using oyster forks or whatnot. I don't like doing that because with my finger I could tell where it's more dense and where it's more clumpy than other parts of the bowl. And this way I can make sure that it's completely even. So right now you have a very dense pack in the Egyptian bowl. I want to compare this to the semi-dense that we used for Haze tobacco. There's a big difference between the two. Now, from here, you could actually go even more dense for Tangiers. I don't recommend doing that in an Egyptian bowl just because of how it heats up and its characteristics as you smoke it. But there's more steps to this because at this point, it's so dense that the holes in the bottom are covered in tobacco and they're densed up together. And all will happen is, unless you could pull it so hard that some of the leaves fall into your vase, you will not get much of a flow rate and you will not enjoy the session at all. So what we do is from here, is we're gonna go ahead and go to the center. We know where the hole is at the center, and we're gonna open it up. And in doing that, get rid of like tiny little Tangier stems. In doing that, you just increased all the airflow that you need to get it to flow well, hit well, and all that. Make sure that it's nice and dense. Clear the hole in the middle, and it's shaped very well. And if you guys want to see, I don't know if you could see through the hole. There you can. There you go. All right, and this is how you pack Tangiers in an Egyptian bowl. Nothing wrong with this. The only difference is, guys, you're gonna get nice clouds. You're gonna get a decent amount of session time also. It should go for about 1:30 to 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, give or take. There's so many other variables like the weather in which you're smoking at, or how much heat you're putting on it, what kind of coals you're using, how you're even hitting it. These are variables that I can't change no matter what. So what I can tell you is it'll go from 1.5 hours to about 2 hours pretty consistently when you pack it this way. And that's about it, guys. I want to go back to the Haze tobacco just to add something to it since it's already in front of me. What I didn't do is I didn't show you guys how to do it for when you use the HMD on it. Now the key thing about HMDs, right, especially the Lotus, is that they have those bumps underneath the bottom of it. Those bumps are crucial, guys. A lot of people just ignore them and they think they're a bad thing because they make cleaning so much more difficult. I understand that, but that's part of the cost of owning an HMD. If you don't like to clean it up and you don't want to put in the effort to clean it regularly, just don't buy an HMD. You really don't need it to have an amazing session. A good alternative to a typical Lotus type HMD, I'm talking about the alternative to the Cloud Lotus, the alternative to a Ottoman Ignis, an alternative to the MIG Razor, and all the hundreds of copies of the Lotuses that are out there, is the Apple on Top Provost, which stays on foil. And that's the way it works best. And because it's on foil, when you're cleaning it up, you don't have to worry about anything. You just take it out, dump out the coal, wipe it down, and you're done. After that, you just take off the foil like you would with a regular foil setup and just throw it away and clean your bowl accordingly. But to do like Haze in a HMD, what you really need is just one more layer, a thin layer of tobacco to make it higher. Now, when you do this, you don't want to dense it up again. You're just raising the height of the tobacco. To do that, you just need a very little amount of tobacco. And what you want to do is you just want to like disperse it all around, like literally just fluff it. Just fluff it all around evenly. Just let a few pieces fall here and there. And that's about it. What's going to happen is that the HMD is going to sit into it, and the bumps are really going to get into the tobacco, and it's going to come down and be perfect for an HMD. That's about it, guys. All right, guys, just real quick, I just want to go ahead and dump out all the tobaccos in each bowl that we just packed, just so you guys could see the difference in how much more each pack method actually takes, okay? Starting with Fumari. We're going to move these aside for a second. Starting with Fumari, which is a fluff pack, it's the least amount of tobacco used. We're going to go ahead and dump it all out as best as we can. All right, and that's what Fumari used right there. And then going on to Starbuzz. Okay, and you're starting to see the difference between a semi-fluff and a fluff. Okay, and then we're gonna go to a Fakher normal pack, dump all that out. Okay, and then the Haze semi-dense. Now this one was with the Lotus, which took a little bit more. And the Tangiers dense pack in Egyptian bowl. Which took the most amount of tobacco. Okay. And there you go, guys. The difference is literally like 2, 3, 4 grams in increment in for each bowl. Alright everybody, thanks for watching another episode of HUtv. Today we went over many different pack methods for different brands of tobacco for an Egyptian bowl for our how-to tonight. And to recap, I went over a fluff pack for Fumari. We went over a semi-dense for Haze tobacco. We went over an extra dense in an Egyptian bowl for Tangiers. We went over a semi-fluff for Starbuzz and the Fakher normal pack for Fakher. Guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and definitely leave a comment. I want your thoughts. I can't wait to see all the people going on and on about how they hate the Egyptian bowl with the Tangiers. I know it's coming. Bring it. It's okay. I'll address it in the next video, or I will go ahead and comment live and in the moment for you guys, or we could even go ahead and post up at HLU, facebook.com/groups/hookah unbiased, and comment, post up. Say whatever the hell you want to say. I have an answer to it all. You guys know that. All right, guys, subscribe. I'll see you next week. Much love. Deuces.